All right, next up, we're going to do a breakdown on my track Togetherness. This track, like most of my stuff, is going to have the drums covered in the left hand. We've got our kick right here on the C. Highly suggest headphones, especially if you've got something that gives you some low end frequency response. Because shoot, these kicks, oh, they sound good. I'm I can't help it. I just love this stuff. So we got the solo kick on the C, and we have another kick on this B flat. It's the same kick as we had here, but yep, you guessed it. We've got a longer bass tone layered in there. I love using this technique. It allows me to separate the drums and the bass line in real time. I'm not locked into one shots or long loops, right, that are always repetitive. I can change it up if I would like. So here's that with the sustain pedal engaged. Pedal up and pedal down. Now that's not a one shot, at least I don't think. Yeah, so I can control the length of that bass tone. It doesn't have to be that long, but that's the max length that I can get. Now I could have bounced out that bass note any length I want, right? Because first I was in my software, I produced the beat in the computer, in the box, and I chose to bounce out that bass tone at that specific length, but that's all up to the context, right? For this track at this BPM, it made sense for it to be that length, but if it was even longer, that would give us even more freedom and flexibility, so that if we are freestyling or we decide to go off grid and try a totally different tempo, we've got built-in bass notes that we can organize with. All right, and then we've got another one on the A flat below that. It's going to be the same kick, and then with the sustain pedal engaged, got another bass tone. All right, so in total, 3 different bass tones there that I'm gonna create a little melody with. And then we've got 1 snare drum. That's gonna be on the G. So having the kick and the snare about a fifth apart, having that perfect fifth interval there, for me, it's just the most comfortable. Also, because of the nature of the music, the kick and the snare are 2 of the most important elements of the beat. And if the kick and snare aren't consistent, it's not going to have the feel that we want in hip hop music, right? And traditionally, these beats are sequenced or looped, right? And that's why they are so consistent. Now, there has been a whole movement of live drummers that literally imitate those breaks and those loops and samples, right, that we hear from records or sequencers, samples, Akai, MPC, SB1200, 404s, but there's a whole movement of drummers that replicate and really embody those styles. Talking about like Chris Daddy Dave, talking about Daru Jones, talking about Kareem Riggins, talking about Justin Brown. I'll leave out everybody. Robert Sput, C-Wright, Cleon Edwards, Erykah Badu's drummer. There's a lot of drummers today that can do that. But for me, it's always been something really fascinating. All right, we've got some hi-hat action right here. Okay, and then we've got, we've got a acapella sample here on the B flat. Not quite acapella, there's some melodic elements tucked in there too. That sample, that's a very classic sample. Everybody's got to know this one. Straight out of Motown Records, Diana Ross and the Supremes. We'll be together. Just such a classic track. Say it to me now. Come on. Ooh. And then we got another one. Yes, we will. Uh, I just love that song. All right, and on the C, we've got a long playing sample, one shot, so that I can play some live drums while I'm carrying the beat, carrying the tune. Okay, and that was a big slice up, a big edit from the same track, the Diana Ross and the Supremes. Sliced up some of the orchestral arrangements and kind of created my own chord progression at a different tempo, kind of like using the chords as pieces of a puzzle that can be rearranged in any order. All right, so we've got that long playing one, and then jumping up here to this G, we have a one shot melody. Uh, So that one's pretty long. The reason why I chose to have that play out as a one shot is so that I could play a live bass line over that. So the bass line I have is going to be up here across the accidentals. So I've got 5 different notes. All right, so we got. So that's a fun one to do live. And then in the left hand, you can keep the kick and snare going. And I should also mention that all these bass tones, they obviously have the hi-hat layered in, or a hi-hat layered in too, right? So that I can kind of just take my hi-hat mallet, my hi-hat hand, and then just move it up an octave, and now I can play the hi-hat and I can play the bass line. So yeah, just improvising, just having fun. And then let's see, that just about does it, I believe. So when we put it together, we've got the A section right here. B section. And it's all live, right? So if something does go wrong, we've got to react. We got to be able to kind of take those punches, right, and kind of just go with the flow. Sometimes what we would consider to be a mistake ends up being a new, beautiful discovery. All right? All right. Thank you so much.